Hey Dazzle, thanks for coming and hanging out with me today. I'm glad that you're here. So, I've given Dark Souls Remastered a positive review in the past, but I have also said that I don't think that it deserves all the hype that it gets. If you haven't picked up on it yet, I have a complicated relationship with this game. And I want to dive into that because now that I have put more time into the game, I think that I'm going to be able to better discuss the dichotomy. Dark Souls is like having a buddy who always shows up late to game night, but brings snacks so good that you just can't stay mad. So buckle up, because we're about to take a roller coaster ride through my love-hate saga with Dark Souls Remastered. First off, the world building in Dark Souls is like a giant interconnected puzzle. Remember the first time you found that shortcut from the Undead Burg to the lower Undead Burg? It's like discovering a hidden door in your house. You get this moment of pure satisfaction. The way the areas connect is genius, making you feel like you're gradually piecing together this massive, intimidating world. But then we hit a snag. Let's talk about the copy-paste jobs. Yeah, I said it. Sure, the world is beautifully designed, but after a while, you start noticing the recycling. Each area usually throws two types of mobs at you before the boss. And don't get me started on the Asylum Demon, Fire Sage, and Wandering Dema. They're just the copy-paste of boss fights, and it's especially annoying when it happens in a boss battle. Either give me a unique challenge or just skip it altogether. Do not insult me with a rehash. It's rude. Then there's the travel system. It's like the game is playing a cruel joke on you. Sure, there's fast travel, but not everywhere. And that means that you're going to be hoofing it across vast distances. Walking from Firelink to the catacombs after a death is like the game saying, "Enjoy your death march, sucker!" Honestly, just let us warp to any bonfire we've rested at. It wouldn't break the game. It would just save me from walking through the same nightmare zones over and over again. And then it would let me get to the nightmare zone that I actually want to be in. Let's give credit where it's due. The backstory and lore is top-notch. The painted world of Aramis is such a haunting, detailed setting. The lore's not handed to you, though. You've got to work for it, and it's like the game drops you into haunted painting and whispers, "Good luck figuring out why it's a prison for an ancient queen." But let's be real. Without a guide, you're probably not finding the entrances to either of the DLC areas. And that's a shame, because those areas are fantastic and should be easier to discover. The story is like a scavenger hunt on hard mode. You're constantly picking up tiny breadcrumbs of lore while trying to survive. It's like trying to read a novel in a windstorm with pages flying everywhere. The story is brilliant, but man, it would have been nice to have some kind of framework to hang all these little details on. My first playthrough, I didn't even realize that there was a story. I was too busy, not dying. Now, after 225 hours of playtime, I'm sure that I have only uncovered a fraction of the story, which is a real bummer. I love the lore, but I'll probably have to finish piecing it together on YouTube. And is that really how a game's story should be told? Atmosphere. A+. The view of Anor Londo is breathtaking. It's like wandering through a Gothic cathedral, both gorgeous and eerie. The sound design is equally haunting. The problem is sometimes there's too much silence. Take Darkroot Garden, for example. It's too quiet. You feel like you're walking through a void. And sure, the music that does play is epic, but there are long stretches where I could use a little something to break up the monotony. I mean, come on, throw me some ambient music while I grind away at these enemies. And if you're going to make me take a death march, you could at least give me the music to go with it. But let's talk about some more of the good stuff. The feeling of accomplishment in this game is pure gold. Beating Ornstein and Smough feels like winning an Olympic medal. Every death and every retry builds up to this huge, satisfying victory, like you're scaling a mountain, and the view from the top feels totally worth it. It taps into my competitive spirit and makes every hard-earned win feel like a triumph. Now, here's where things get thorny for me. The game's sense of fairness, or the absolute lack of it. Sen's Fortress, anyone? Rolling boulders and surprise traps are designed to smack you in the face, and there's no way a new player can see them coming. I've watched dozens of first-time players hit those traps, and it's like the game is saying, here's a tough spot, and then let me throw in some cheap shots just for fun. Some say that I'm being petty, but I don't think expecting fairness in a game is childish at all. If fairness didn't matter, why would cheating be such a big deal? Fairness is key because it gives players a sense of control. When you fail, it should feel like it is your fault, not the game stacking the deck against you. The best games reward skill, not luck, and unfair mechanics just frustrate people, making the game feel like it's punishing you arbitrarily. If the game didn't rely on these cheap tricks, I think that more people would stick with it instead of rage quitting. But here's the twist. Dark Souls also teaches you not to take things too personally. You learn to roll with the punches, accept defeat, and keep going. Every death is a lesson, a chance to do better next time. It's a tough love approach, sure, but it does help you build resilience, both in the game and in real life. So in a weird way, maybe there's a silver lining to all the unfairness that I despise so much? Now, let's talk about the NPCs. Quelaag and Solaire of Astora are really good examples. Quelaag is this tragic spider-human hybrid who's protecting her sister, making her more than just another boss. And Solaire, he's the game's bright spot, literally. His obsession with the sun and his praise the sun catchphrase make him the game's ultimate feel-good character. His journey, though, it gets dark. Both characters add a lot to the game's rich, immersive world, and all the characters are like this. Each have a rich story and fully developed character. But the multiplayer system, don't get me started. It could have been amazing, but instead we got this broken, awkward summoning mechanic. You never find someone to help with the boss in certain areas because the system requires players to drop their summon sign and wait, doing nothing until someone picks it up. Who has the patience for that? This is why people invade more than they summon. At least invading doesn't waste your time. When you're playing a game, you want to be playing the game. And then there's the character builds. Dark Souls offers a ridiculous amount of customization. You can even dual-wield shields, which is as chaotic as it sounds. But for all this freedom, the game barely teaches you how to use its mechanics. The tutorial is basically, here's how to swing a sword, good luck figuring out the rest. I have to Google basic mechanics like poise. It's like the game expects you to be born knowing how everything works, and honestly, the lack of a decent tutorial isn't hard. It's just lazy game design. In the end, the thing that disappoints and confuses me the most about this game is that it has been remastered. That means that they were given the chance to clean all of this stuff up and make it into the game that it could have been. But they just didn't. They left all this broken stuff in there, quietly making the statement, nah, this is what makes it hard. For all of its flaws, though, Dark Souls Remastered has a lot to love. The interconnected world, the deep lore, the sheer satisfaction of overcoming challenges, it all keeps you coming back for more. But let's not kid ourselves. This game has just as many things to hate as it does to love. That's why I'm always torn when I talk about it. So there you have it. Dark Souls Remastered is a love-hate affair. The beautiful world, rich backstory, and tough-as-nails gameplay keeps you hooked, while the unfair mechanics, lack of tutorials, and fragmented story can drive you up the wall. But despite all the frustrations, I am still absolutely obsessed with it. Maybe I'm a glutton for punishment. Well, that's enough of my rambling for today. Thanks for hanging out with me. If you enjoyed this, click that like button. It really does help. And until next time, you guys be sure to take care of yourselves. Bye!